decorations are up.
That's right.
In the spirit of that, let's move the conversation on. Before the break here, I want to have a conversation about FILIP Hronek and just how well he was playing. It's not just where he contributed on offense tonight with his 2 assists. We talked about this before. He has been really good by his standards defensively too. Just after, a strong offensive play, he broke up a 3-on-1 coming back the other way, a 3-on-1. And that play does not get stopped without FILIP Hronek's stick. Yeah, it's just maybe luck, but FILIP Hronek of years past wouldn't have any of the offensive conversion and absolutely would have been without it, down Schitt's Creek without a paddle defensively. And this is a guy who has reemerged like a freaking phoenix at both ends of the ice. It is one of the biggest turnarounds I've seen in a Red Wing season over season, maybe since we've started covering this show. Or started the show in covering the Red Wings.
I'm struggling to think of one more extreme than Hronek, so I think that is probably an accurate statement.
Who's the hottest name in the trade market and has been for months, if not a year now?
Tyler Bertuzzi.
Good meme. Thank you. I should have seen that one coming. Non-Red Wing.
Oh.
Jakob Chychrun, right? Now that he's healthy again, they're talking about it again. Arizona's asking for a king's ransom. They want like the Carlson deal or whatever. Firsts, players, prospects, that whole deal. And I think they're going to get something close to it eventually. There are questions about Chychrun, like how good is this guy really, and can he stay healthy? The obvious context of where they were drafted aside, and maybe should we give that backstory for folks who might not know the Chychrun-Hronek connection?
Yeah, I'm not even sure Jakob Chychrun is the best defenseman in that trade.
The Red Wings, it was the season where Stamkos was potentially...
No, don't give us the Stamkos context. I can't.
Potentially going
just
to...
the trade. Just give us the trade.
The literal...
You have to.
And don't...
You said it was Christmas. Are you trying to get me upset?
Yeah. And don't you dare mention who he signed with the cap space gained. Anyways.
So there were big name free agents potentially going out there. The Red Wings wanted to extend without rebuilding, and they needed to make cap space. Pavel Datsyuk had just gone to Russia, and they were on the hook with his contract. The Red Wings traded his contract to Arizona in exchange and swapped picks.
Yes, the final trade was Detroit sent Datsyuk's contract and pick number 16 to Arizona for pick number 20, and I don't remember the exact number, but a late second round pick.
So
we don't need to talk about who the Wings took with pick 20, but...
So pick 16 ended up being Jakob Chychrun, and that's where the Red Wings were going to pick. And Arizona took Pavel Datsyuk's contract. The Red Wings, I think it was like Joe Vitale that the Red Wings also took on.
Just to make the spreadsheets balance.
Pick 20 was Dennis Cholowski. So the 2016 second round pick, and that obviously ended up being FILIP Hronek. So not a player trade, but Chychrun and Hronek have that connection. Anyhow, all that context there. Can you say confidently right now that Chychrun is that much better than Hronek where they shouldn't be getting a similar return in a potential trade? And I want to qualify this by saying I don't think the Red Wings should be seeking to trade FILIP Hronek unless they get an offer they can't refuse.
No, the Red Wings absolutely should not be looking to trade FILIP Hronek right now. You need guys of FILIP Hronek's quality and age and handedness as you're trying to get better through a rebuild. He is the exact type of defenseman you want right now for where the Red Wings are. Now, the comparisons between the two, there's two ways to look at this. Have we seen both their peaks? I would say yes. And FILIP Hronek's is probably right now. Chychrun's peak is higher than Hronek's. Not significantly like everyone had you to believe, but he is a better player. Now, if we're factoring in consistency and injury history, those are two pretty big strikes against Jakob Chychrun and in favor of FILIP Hronek. FILIP Hronek is durable, plays a ton, consistent. Chychrun's had one full season in the NHL, and that was the 56-game shortened season.
Really?
Yeah, he is injured all the damn time.
So, look, I think someone's going to overpay for Chychrun.
Absolutely, they will.
But I think he's
the
a quality defenseman. I think he's a great defenseman. He'll help a team.
I think we're missing one huge context piece that adds to Jacob Chikrin's value. He's on a phenomenal contract.
He's on a great contract.
He is on an absolutely phenomenal contract. You're getting a top 2 or 3 defenseman on your team for under what, 5? He's not even making $5 million.
4.6.
4.6 for 2 more years after this one, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's phenomenal value. So that alone will boost his value way above Hronek's, because Hronek's only got 1 year left after this one.
At 4.5 or 4.4, sorry.
Yeah.
So similar cap hit.
Yeah. So not that Hronek will ever get Chikrin's trade value, but Hronek's trade value right now is probably significant.
I know I'm tempting fate by bringing this up and making this comparison. And I know there's also the backstory of, hey, you guys are being homers. Look how long Hronek struggled. But also for people who
He's
are
been a quiet half-point per game defenseman basically his entire career thus far.
Even when he was struggling, even when I've specifically have been very hard on Hronek because I wanted him to be more as a defenseman, and I knew he could be playing as he is right now before. Even while I was railing on him for that, he was putting up that. Yeah, like you said, half point per game. He produces.
Jacob Chikrin does have twice as many goals as FILIP Hronek, which is important. I do think, without going back and looking at it, I feel like Hronek's a lot of his points are secondary assists. Like, they always felt not very impactful because I'm always saying to myself, FILIP Hronek is a half point per game defenseman. How did I not remember that?
Yeah. Not this season though. This season is
not this season.
A different Hronek. But yeah, the reemergence, the rebirth, the realization of who FILIP Hronek is, and he's young, so I don't want to be too dramatic about it. But the fact that he's been able to do this at age, how old is he now? 25. Not that a player isn't developing at 25, 26, 27 even. But usually by 25, the shifts aren't this dramatic. You can see the trajectory that they were on, and it's just about getting to that place. To turn around like this, I mean, this is the exact excuse you need to be patient with players, which is advice that we could probably take when talking about, Zadina or whoever else. But still, this is a monumental shift for Hronek. And credit to him, if he keeps this up for the next year, season and a half, a little bit more, he's going to get a big payday to stay in Detroit. One more year. Good thing he's still under team control as an RFA.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockeytown Evan.